All right. Oh, here we are, 6:30, right on the button. You know me, I like being on time, especially for everybody. Let me just get situated here. Make sure everybody can see the beautiful background of the Governor's Comedy Club banner. Getting a lot of trouble if I don't post that. They'll think I'm sponsoring my own show. Nothing wrong with that. Hey, welcome. It's July. That's right. Turn your calendars, rip June off. I love that on the big wall calendar. I know nobody uses the wall calendar. Everybody's got their phones and what have you, but I think it's fun to whoosh, tear it off, rip a sheet off. It's now July 1st, and where has the time gone? So that only means one thing. Two things. Fireworks, massive explosives outside your house, and bugs. So those are the two things to avoid for the month of July. That's the advice I'm giving you. Duck when you hear a screaming M80 coming at your head, because you know us Long Islanders, there's a lot of things we enjoy. I always add to the Long Island enjoyment list. By the way, in case you just tuned in, you're watching the Steve Squared Show, the July 1st edition, the summer edition of the Steve Squared Show. You can see this sun is so glistening off the side of my cheek. Yeah, I don't even need, this is natural lighting. This is wonderful. When I do the show in the fall and winter, I need more lights and have to work with the ring light. Don't need that here. You have the beautiful natural sunlight. So what do Long Islanders enjoy? I always add to the list, right? What do I have seen? I've seen, well, come on, we love getting tan. We love a lot of things. We do enjoy explosives. We love our fireworks. And that will be prevalent in the next couple of days. I've already heard them over this past week. Did you hear any outside your house? It's like feeling like if you're driving through one of those Eastern Bloc countries in the middle of a war. You have that feeling for the month of July. Poor dogs out there. Dogs always suffer the most when July 4th comes around. And we also like, as Long Island, we love those to wear the socks with the those kind of funny plasticky shoes. Steve always wears those Glockenspiel shoes. So anyway, what have you done? Have you gotten ready? I'll tell you, I've been outside this weekend. How was your weekend? Let me ask you first before I tell you about mine. Did you have a good weekend? Did you do something outside? I hope so. Tell me, what did you do? Did you do anything fun? A fun activity? See family, friends? Let me share what I did. I sweated profusely outside on the deck doing some deck work. Still working on that deck. Now, I'm only able to finally get out there and work on the deck thanks to one reason. And that one reason is right here. I'm not normally a product pusher on the Steve Squared Show, unless, of course, it's Celsius. You see that right there. Sorry. You know I'll push the Celsius. But I have to say, I have to be honest here. This little can of Black Flag has done the trick. I have been in a battle. This is longer than the Civil War with these carpenter bees. This is going on years. I mean, this is one of the longest wars ever fought. And I think it's come down, it's finally ended. There has been a truce signed. The head bee has finally signed off. And it's unbelievable. I mean, I use this can, I chose it. See, we called an exterminator. The exterminator comes down. He says, I'm going to charge you an arm and a leg. Just get a can of spray. Just make sure, though, it's a jet spray. So I look through a bunch of cans. He doesn't say which kind. I see this says jet spray. It says wasp hornet. It doesn't say carpenter bee. There was a can of carpenter bee spray. I've tried that many times. It never worked. The jet spray seems to be the key. This says sprays up to 29 feet. It comes out like a shooting jet spray. And who doesn't love those Black Flag commercials? Do you remember those Black Flag commercials where you'd spray and the people go, ah? So I thought, they finally hooked me after all these years. It says guaranteed to work or your money back. Now, I don't know how that works if you have to bring in the live bee to show that it didn't work, or I'm not sure how you follow through with the money back guarantee, how that's got to be. I would believe you'd have to show some live bees that they didn't, perish in the spray. But I get the Black Flag. I spray the whole deck and railing, everything. I covered myself, everything. Don't do this at home. Okay, I don't advocate spraying yourself with a toxic poison. But I was at my last wit's end. And of course, it works. It's unbelievable. I could not believe it. I have not seen it in a carpenter bee in the last couple of weeks. So I had been able to work out on the deck and been doing that. And I gave it a second spray just, after a couple of weeks. I was nervous they might come back. Because that happens a lot. It happens even in relationships, right? It takes many times to break up. The first breakup doesn't always stick. So you might have to spray the bee, your significant other. You might have to give them a second dose of Black Flag to get rid of them. And again, I don't advocate you going out right now if you're having trouble getting rid of that significant other. I don't want to be part of a lawsuit or a trial that you were told by the Steve Squared Show to spray your significant other with toxic poison Black Flag. Now, I have to put this down because if by accident I might drink it. I have two things in my hand. One is my delicious Celsius. The other is Black Flag. Again, another proud non-sponsor of the Steve Squared Show. But this seemed to do the work. $7. That guy wanted $500. I did it for $7.99, but twice, so we're up to $16. But still a great deal if it works. Even if I had to spray again, it's fine. Still dealing with a little bit of buggage outside, but that is the summer, and maybe we'll get a spray. Now, I call this other exterminator. Let me give you the name, because I do think this deserves to be called out. Let's be honest, right? Let me give you the name. Oh boy, hold on. Let me get you the name, because this is worth the price of admission. It's called Battle a Bug Pest Control. Battle a Bug. Okay, I'm putting them up right now because I want you to see this. Battle a Bug Pest Control. Okay, they service Long Island and the whatever areas. Trusted Long Island Pest Control since 1996. It's fantastic. It says if you are unhappy with your current pest control people, call us if you're unhappy. Now, you might be unhappy, but it says call us. All right, so let's call. Now, this is fantastic. Boy, this is great. It's family owned, serving. Hold on a second. You got to see this. Serving Long Island. Can you see that? Serving Long Island. I feel like I want to get it away. I feel like it's tough to see because of the glare. Anyway, you can see there's a lovely family there. Get that close up. There we go. It's a beautiful family. It's a family-owned business. I hope they don't have the daughter come to your house and get rid of, bugs. But the family is, it's a family-owned business. They're trying to show, it's family-owned. Okay. I give them a call because we're trying to get rid of, and it says, and I speak to the person, and I say, because, simultaneously that I'm battling bugs outside, I'm battling a moth problem inside. It's like Wild Kingdom around here. So I call up Battle a Bug, and I say, hello, I have a bug problem. I have a moth problem. She goes, let me stop you right there. We don't handle that. I said, you don't handle what? A moth is a bug. Your place is called Battle a Bug. She said, we don't do moths. It's a little difficult. We don't know where the source is. Now, this has been a common sore spot for me because the last person that came down of the exterminating world, the family of exterminators, said, find the source. They keep telling me to find the source. How do I know where the source is? So, this people this person I speak to, and she says we can't do it. But I said, you say your acronym, your philosophy, your title is called Battle of Bugs. She goes, we don't do that. I said, all right, let's move on. We have mosquitoes outside. I heard you do spraying. What will it cost? Can you come down to do a one-time spraying? We don't do that. Let me stop you right there, she says. We don't spray mosquitoes. I say, well, now mosquitoes are not. Now, what do you people do over there? What bug are you able to do? So they say, all the ants you can have, we'll take care of. We love ants. I say, listen, you need to change the title of your business here to battle some bugs or battle an ant, because you certainly don't battle every bug. This is misadvertising, and I was very upset with them. So that's called Battle of Bug. I'm calling them out. They're my idiocracy of the day. I'm doing a new segment called Idiocracy of the Day, or of the show. Unfortunately, since Steve is not here, Battle of Bug will get the brunt of the idiocracy. So, there you go. Anyway, it is July 4th week. Are you excited? Oh, I bet you are. That means one thing. I told you it means fireworks. It also means hot dog eating contest July 4th. Tune in on ESPN. But again, we talked about this. No Joey Chestnut. But if you want to see Joey Chestnut, if you are a big Joey Chestnut fan, and you want to see him glom down some hot dogs, he will be in a contest in Texas. This guy gets around. It says he will take his hot dog downing to Texas. To an army base where he'll take on some soldiers. That's good. And it's only 5 minutes instead of 10, which thank goodness to his small intestines, I'm sure appreciates that. So this will be, doesn't say, it's called Pop Goes the Fort, celebration at Fort Bliss in Texas. It doesn't say, why doesn't it say? It really doesn't say if it's going to be shown on TV. I don't think this is going to be shown. Maybe, maybe not. Probably not. But the normal one will be July 4th at Nathan's, Coney Island. ESPN, I think, will be showing it, streaming it. Plus, I'm sure there's probably even Netflix or a Amazon Hulu doc. So, that is very exciting. Plus, where are you going to see your fireworks? Do you aside from the fireworks that are going to be whizzing through your living room, that you'll get a first-hand glimpse of, where would you go to get a controlled fireworks show? Not one from your beer-drinking, overweight, flip-flop wearing, tank top wearing, screaming at his wife, and his wife screaming at him with 3 kids and people screaming, neighbor, half drunk with a beer can in his hand, going, "Hey, Billy, watch this!" And it goes flying through your window, and then all of a sudden, Channel 12 News is there with Kate McKinnon giving the Channel 12 News. The horrible thing happened in Lindenhurst today. It's always a horrible thing happening in somewhere on Long Island. But the Grucci's are all over the place. Here is Jovia is going to be, Jovia always sponsors these fun things because they're Jovia. Jones Beach will definitely be having their fireworks show. I wasn't sure if they were on or off. Sometimes they're off. They flip-flop back and forth because of the traffic it creates on the Wantor Ocean Parkway. It's a real nightmare. I mean, usually you're making a day of this because the people go down to the beach July 4th, right? They crowd the beaches, and they're there for the whole day. You can't go 6, 7 o'clock and think you're gonna, and for the show usually starts when it gets dark around 9 o'clock. You can't go like 7, 8 o'clock. You're not even getting down the parkway. So you have to be these people that sit there from 7 in the morning. I will not be one of them. It actually says 9:30 p.m., so it's going to be late. At the Central Mall. It's going to be great. Oh, you can tune in to the simulcast on 97.1 or WKJoy, 98.3 KJoy. You're on your dial. See, Steve thinks I couldn't do radio. Me and Steve had this argument. He goes, you don't understand. A podcast show is a lot different than radio. Because Steve does the Friday night show over at Nassau Community College. I said, Steve, hold on. You don't think I could say, and now Camila Cabello, who's going to be performing her tango over at the Mulcahy's this weekend, is her greatest hits, Wango Chango, and then press the play button. He thinks I can't do that. I can talk for a 1 hour show, unstoppable, but I can't lead in a music segment. He goes, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. I understand perfectly. It's about territorial stepping on toes. Steve likes me to have my little podcast show, but go into his backyard. NIMYB, not in my backyard. Once I start tipping my toe into Steve's little world, he doesn't like that. So what does he say? You can't do it. It's too difficult. Here's Justin Bieber. Oh, hey, here's one. Let me see. Tell me if I do a good job. Hey, Justin Timberlake. Speaking of sexy back, he'll be in prison next week on a DWI charge in the Hamptons, and here he is singing "Sexy Back" straight from Riverhead Prison. I can do that. I can do that, no problem. He's actually performing at the Garden soon. He did his. He's got his Garden tour show coming up, and he was. First time back on social media for Justin, for JT, as I like to call him. His friends call him JT. And he is hawking some Garden paraphernalia merchandising, I guess to pay for the legal fees for the drunk driving. Anyway, what are you going to do? I'll tell you, I came upon an interesting channel last night. Channel 151 on your dial, if you have Optimum. Which I think I'm the last one that has Optimum. Everybody has switched to all different kinds of, Hulu Live TVs and satellites and all of the rest. People are so fed up with Optimum. So if you do, it's channel 151, and it's a lot of the sitcoms from the 90s. Sitcoms, Growing Pains, which was late 80s, early 90s. Growing Pains. With Kirk Cameron, Alan Thicke. Who else do we have? There was the Hogan Family, which was I couldn't believe I remembered that show. That was a great show was a good show for Jason Bateman. Was kind of his start, on a regular show that kind of you can almost see. His style in the Hogan Family sitcom, because he's starting to be a little older. He's not a kid, so you can't really go by his acting in Little House on the Prairie when he was making cameos. In the Hogan Family, you can really start seeing his, that dry sense of humor that he has, and his deliveries. Each actor has their real style, right, and their delivery, and so his really starts coming out there. And the show was pretty good. I liked it better with Valerie Harper. She was the first mom or something like that, and then Sandy Duncan came in, so it wasn't as good, but the show was pretty funny. But I was watching some of these shows, so I just said, oh my god, I haven't seen that since a kid, younger, a million years ago. And Who's the Boss? Right, Alyssa Milano. So I'm starting to see all these kid actors that So, right, you see Jason Bateman. He obviously becomes a big star. You see Alyssa Milano, and she obviously becomes big. And I don't know if as a TV star, but big in other ways. And then I flip. I see Growing Pains last night as I'm doing some work. And I see Growing Pains, and it was one of the older ones, the later, not the earlier shows. So they're all grown up already. Kirk Cameron's already grown up, and they're all, adults. Even the little kid, Ben, is like a grown up. And so it's the episode where the boy, Kirk Cameron's, or Michael, his character, he's a teacher. And he has this student who's kind of like lost, and he's kind of homeless and bumming around. So Kirk Cameron takes him home to the family and says, to Alan Thicke, we gotta help him find a home and place him and things like that. And this was a young Leonardo DiCaprio who played the boy Luke. So I tell my mom, because I say, hey, we were talking about. She takes credit for. My mom takes credit for her good star power, foreseeing ability, and good eye for talent. As she had said when she saw Leonardo DiCaprio in one of his earlier movies, This Boy's Life, which was probably around the same time or about a year or two difference, where he plays opposite Robert De Niro. I don't know if you remember that movie. It was a good movie. It's called This Boy's Life. If you have not seen it, him and his mom. His mom marries this guy, Robert De Niro, who's a real jerk, and so he becomes his stepdad, and it's just terrible. But so he's playing this homeless kid Luke in Growing Pains, and so my mom always says, "Yeah, I knew he was going to be a big star from This Boy's Life." So she takes credit for Leonardo's fame fortune, and I wonder, and what I was thinking about was, in all these shows, there's a whole cast. And you had some good star power. I mean, Alan Thicke, that was probably, I mean, he hosted a game show and things like that, but, he was Alan Thicke. Joanna Kerns played the wife, and she was, made some cameos in movies, always played the mom, nothing. Tracy Gold was the daughter, nothing after Growing Pains. Kirk Cameron, who was such a teen idol on every magazine. He got into a little bit of a religious, fanatically culty thing. I think something. I'm not really sure what happened to him, but he never. You would think that would have been the guy. So it's interesting how Leonardo DiCaprio becomes Leonardo DiCaprio, and so I started looking at kids. I said Alyssa Milano and Who's the Boss, but Tony. So we're looking at kids, or who came out of the. Who's the Boss that became a big star. I mean, obviously Tony Danza is a big star, but Alyssa Milano became whatever she really became, but obviously, parlayed her youth into something. And then I saw another interesting show, which I used to like. They gave Mad About You. Do you remember Mad About You with Paul Reiser and Greg Evigan? Same thing. And the daughter never, she actually didn't even really continue. She was good, but I forget her name. But that was a good show. It was kind of an interesting show. Paul Rudd and Greg Evigan, they both share, not Paul Rudd, Paul Reiser. They share father duties. They can't decide who the father is from the DNA, so they both have to share custody, and there's your plot. Paul Reiser plays the conservative, suit-wearing guy. Greg Evigan is the, cool, he almost looks like Billy Ray Cyrus type, a lot of fun. Type of thing. Speaking of that, Miley Cyrus in Hannah Montana, right? She's just playing in a Disney whatever and becomes Hannah Montana, or becomes, Miley Cyrus. So it's interesting to see these youthful actors and how their career blossoms and takes off. You might have remembered me. I was in a small flick. It was only you probably didn't see it. It was only shown in the Eastern Bloc of Japan. With some of my earlier work, and now I've blossomed into the Steve Squared Show. So you just never know where your career is going to take a turn for the worse, as mine has. But anyway, there was a couple of others. Oh, obviously Family Ties, right? Michael J. Fox, and becomes Michael J. Fox, right? Family Ties. He was. I don't want to. The timing is weird because he was having everything happen to him all at once. So. Family Ties, he was doing some of those, Teen Werewolf. Everything was he was kind of in both at the same time. So his career was like exploding within a 2 or 3 year thing. So it wasn't like Leonardo's was more of a trajectory until Titanic put him on, an enormous map. For Michael J. Fox, obviously it's Back to the Future, but he was trending. He had Family Ties, so you knew. Jason Bateman's sisters in Family Ties, right? Justine Bateman. But she became more of an activist. She didn't really do too much anymore. She actually appears on some talk shows and things like that, but not the career Jason Bateman has. Any others that that you know of, that you could think of? Any more? I mean, Lizzie McGuire was Hilary Duff, but that's It's not that much. I also, so I'm looking this up, and then I come upon this thing. It talks about famous actors, celebrities who had different jobs before they became famous. So I thought that was interesting too. Sure, I'm a personal trainer. That's kind of my thing before my fame and fortune hit, which it should any day now. I'm just checking my. Let me check my phone and see if I've been cast in any big blockbuster movies that are coming out now. Speaking of blockbuster movies, we're going to talk about this. But man, oh man, did Horizon take one right in the ribs. Poor Kevin Costner. There is just so much Western people want to see. And I have said this over and over and over again, but we'll get to that in a moment. So let's go through some of these. I have a pretty interesting list of some celebrities who had other jobs trying to make their way to become actors. Danny DeVito, he was a hairstylist. He styled people's hair. It's pretty interesting. Christopher Walken. Very wild. I need more cowbell. Christopher Walken was an assistant lion tamer. Now that doesn't seem like a different job. That seems like all part of the lunacy of the world of entertainment. So he was an assistant lion tamer. I don't know how you get be an assistant without a... At least he was an assistant, wasn't a full lion tamer. Hugh Jackman was a clown, and he worked at a gas station, and he was a PE teacher. Not sure how that all worked out. Johnny Depp sold pens over the phone. That's got to be hard to do. You can't really show how well it writes over the phone. He must have. That's probably why he had to. Dustin Hoffman typed. This is talk about going back. He typed phone numbers in the Yellow Pages. They should give that to prisoners to do. Prisoners are always looking for new and odd jobs to do that are tedious. That's a good, and they're learning a skill, typing. It's fantastic. Brad Pitt. What did Brad Pitt do? Brad Pitt, well, this is probably not one of his main jobs, but he dressed like a chicken outside one of those fast food restaurants. It was called El Pollo Loco in the southern part of the United States. El Pollo Loco, the crazy chicken in English. I took many years of Spanish, so I'm able to help you translate that. Oh boy, Jim Carrey dropped out of school at the age of 15 and was a janitor. Good thing for him, he was funny, and his life turned around. And there you go. So, pretty interesting, I have to say. Oh, and if you go to the Jones Beach Theater this summer to see some of the shows, they did an enormous renovation. Did you hear about this? That's why the shows have started late. And I talked about this last week to Steve. He didn't care. They have added, there were a lot of complaints about long bathroom lines and concession stand lines. And what they have done is expanded more bathrooms, more seats. The concession courts are enormous now. They've added an enormous amount of seats into the theater and better angled seats. Because it's not very comfortable over there. So that it should be. What else did they do here? I got something else they did here. And they had their official grand opening Saturday with the Outlaw Music Festival with Bob Dylan and Willie Nelson. That's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Willie Nelson, he's like 90. And Bob Dylan, I don't understand it. I know he's iconic. I know people love him. I know he's some kind of hippie 60s, protesting man of the people treasure. I can't stand to listen to this guy's voice. If this guy can make a career out of singing, I'm here to tell you, go out right now, get yourself a guitar, a harmonica, whatever you need, and go write songs. If this guy can do it, he is the true example that any human being can do it. I'm sorry. I don't follow him. I know Steve would scream at me. Steve just loves screaming at me. But he would say, he is unbelievable. Okay. I do have to say, though, he did sell me on Bruce Springsteen. I am a little more locked in on Bruce Springsteen. I was never a Bruce Springsteen fan, but I watched his Howard Stern interview and started looking at his site, a little more, and then seeing more of him through the Stevie Van Zandt documentary was also good, which I told you about. You should watch. It's on HBO Max. Another documentary that was very interesting on the History Channel is Sammy Hagar. He had a great story. You should watch that. Sammy Hagar had his, I Can't Drive 55. You know that song. He actually wrote that song when he got pulled over by a cop for doing 60. And the cop said to him, it's 55. He goes, I'm only doing 60. I can't drive 55. Boom, he went home and wrote the song, I Can't Drive 55. And then eventually when David Lee Roth left Van Halen, he goes over and joins Eddie and the crew and becomes the lead vocalist and writes some of the big iconic hits Right Here, Right Now, and they become Van Halen. But then then Eddie and those guys kicked Sammy Hagar out. I don't know what goes on here with these bands. Too much cocaine and women. But that's what happens. That happens in the podcast world too. So I understand. Too much. So major upgrades, they say here. Expanded concession, restroom facilities. It's going to be unbelievable, they say. So go see a show at the Jones Beach Theater. It should be a lot of fun. Looks good from here. It's also... Oh, and is it renamed? What's it called now? Oh, it's now Northwell. It's now the Northwell at Jones Beach Theater. Of course, Northwell flipped the bill for this. They flipped the bill for everything. Did you think I forgot Kermit and his two sticks? I could put my face right between them. Kermit is riding high for the Steve Squared Show. It's nice outside. It's a beautiful evening. After the Steve Squared Show, go outside. Walk to the park. Take a walk with someone or by yourself, which is always my favorite person to walk with is myself, and watch the sunset or something. It should be nice. But yeah, we had a little stormage yesterday. It's got those crazy storms happening. It's been crazy. Are you getting... I feel like there's a lot of these... and they're good causes. But I was watching... It was a lot on that channel 151, but it's all over the place. And it was reminded by a thing here. It says, help support the American Air Power Museum. Which is... all of these are great causes when they show kids in these bad countries and they adopt a kid, do this... ASPCA with the pets and the animals, and they have Sarah McLachlan singing that horrible, sad song, and they show the dog sitting behind a prison cell. I get it. I understand. I'm a sensitive guy. Unbeknownst to many of you out there and to my family and to everybody else, I have a sensitive side. I get it, right? But there's one thing about donating. Okay, here's $5, $10, I get it. And I'm attacked everywhere I go throughout the day. Right? I can't walk 2 feet without someone asking me for change, money. And I don't want to sound like one of these crabby people. But let me do it anyway. I go into CVS and there's always a kid sitting there with chocolate bars. And he's like, hey, can I talk to you for a second, sir? You don't have to call me sir. I don't want the bad chocolate bars. I don't even know what you're doing. Okay, I don't want to send you on a trip. I'm sorry. Just want to go in and get, I just want to go in and get my mouthwash at CVS. I don't want to have to do this. I don't want to be inundated with 27 Girl Scouts begging me to buy, Milano cookies. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Ask your parents for the money, for God's sake. What are they doing? Why do I have to be hot? Why do I have to be accosted by a 9-year-old with pigtails begging me to buy her Thin Mint cookies? I don't eat cookies. Do I look... I said that to her. She said, excuse me, would you like to buy a box of Thin Mint cookies to help the girls? I said, let me stop you right there, little lady. Do I look like someone that would eat a Thin Mint cookie? I work out 7 days a week. How many days do you work out, little missy? Huh? The way, I'm at the edge right now. That's the way I talk to anybody. I don't care who you are. That's what you're getting. You're getting the raw Stevie K. Hey, that could be a new name of the Steve Squared Show after I fire Steve. Just like they did to Sammy Hagar and Van Halen. I'm going to let Steve go. But they're asking me for money. And all of these, the point is, all of these charitable contributions, it's not a one-time thing. So they're saying for $19 a month, for $10 a month, now it becomes, and they just give us your, right? It's that automatic. No. Now you're getting carried away. You're now another bill. Okay, no matter what the cause is, and I'm sure it's a wonderful cause. Who knows? Maybe even 1% is going to the actual cause, and the other 99 is going to put some, red tape bureaucrat, whatever. Me and my mom watched this. We were watching this funny movie. It was an old movie. Steve loves it. The In-Laws with Peter Falk and Alan Arkin. Very funny. It was very out of towners ish with Jack Lemmon and Sandy Dennis. It was that gritty 1970s New York City, the old cabs and everything. It was a great movie, and it was very funny. That's another recommendation of mine. I know none of you all want to go see Inside Out, Inside Out 2. Which is, we're going to talk about that right now. But if you want to donate, that's my point. Don't turn it into a bill, because now you've just turned something nice into an obligation and a bill. I don't want to be billed every month for this. I don't want to be looking and now all of a sudden I'm like paying $10 a month to send some kid to Princeton. I don't want to do that. I got enough problems. I got plenty of problems. Let alone now having to see. I got to pay Netflix, Amazon. I don't want to have to pay the American Impound Museum. I don't want to have to save a dog. I don't want to have to pay to have a dog freed from jail every month. I don't want endless bills. It's priority. I'm already paying Netflix and Amazon and all of the rest. I'm sick of them all. 27,000 channels. I can't find a thing to watch. I had to go watch 1980s, 90s TV sitcom reruns. That's how bad it's gotten. 4,000 channels, I can't find a new thing to watch. It's terrible. It's just terrible. So, at the box office this weekend, a couple of movies. Inside Out is doing unbelievable. Now, Inside Out, this is Inside Out 2. Very cute. It's a Pixar, Disney joint boot. About this young girl. The first one, she was about 11 years old. Now she's a teenager. She's a hockey player, cute, anime, very Pixar-ish, kind of Toy Story-esque. And she's going through that tough time of growing up, and so she has her friends, and they're all different emotions, right? There's, and now I think I wrote, did I write them down? Here it is. So she has all these different emotions. Her friends are like anxiety, envy, jealousy, fear, embarrassment. Amy Poehler is the voice of joy, sadness, nostalgia. So she has all these different friend emotions. Which one would you be? Would you be anxiety? I know what I would be. Would you be envy? Are you an envious person of most people? Would you be disgusted? So far, I'm 3 for 3. I'm all three of those. Can you be all three? Anxious, envious, and then disgusted. I'm all three right now, actually. Joyful? I'm never that. Fearful? Yeah, I'm fearful most of the time. Embarrassed? It depends on the time of the day, but yes, I would say 90% of the day I'm embarrassed. Sadness? We all get sad from time to time. Anger, oh sure. I'm telling you right now, I'm filled with rage. Rage is not on there either. I would play Rage. Road Rage. And nostalgia. Are you a bit nostalgic? Do you think back to better times gone by? I don't. I've wiped out that's the one thing I'm able to do is just, I don't remember anything that happened previously to 4 hours ago. So it's so they're killing it. This weekend, they've been out already, and still this weekend they made $55 million at the box office. $55 million. They're top. A new movie that comes out always overtakes because they're the new movie. This movie has made, just in the U.S. alone, over $500 million already. People love this stuff. And this is what I've learned. They love Pixar, feelings, kind of comically light, animation movies. Whether it's Marvel, which only Marvel could mess that up themselves by that last vehicle they booted up. That's why you'll see a break from them. But these kind of movies usually do well. They're good feel, cute, deal with issues, right? We're all dealing with issues. And type of, little, the voices of famous celebrities, and you can't miss. It's almost a can't miss, right? The Secret Life of Pets, Toy Stories, all of these movies are can't miss movies. We love them. I'll tell you what can miss is beating people to death with this Western crap, and you almost made me curse. With this Kevin Costner, oh, tell you, there's just so much of his whiny, drony, westerny, kind of whimsical way of speaking that I've heard enough already. Yellowstone blew up, everybody loved it, that nonsense Yellowstone, so they thought, Yellowstone, let's make Horizon, we'll make a movie kind of based on this westward expansion, western. Nobody came to see it. It cost them over $100 million to make, about 110, 11 million at the box office, which is basically equivalent to bankruptcy. And Kevin Costner flipped 38 million of the bill. MGM was just doing the release; they were just putting it in the studios. He had to flip the bill for the most part, which it was enormous on his part and probably a financial mistake. But does he really care? No, he read it off. But the movie, no, terrible. And he comes out and he says, you know what, we didn't do as well as expected, let it marinate. I've marinated many of meats. It doesn't get better. It's either there or it's not. This dish is not getting better. Let me explain. It's only going to get worse. Nobody wants to see it. Oh, they can watch Yellowstone. It's the same crap. Nobody wants to go to the theater to see this. Speaking of a movie coming out, Axel Foley, the return of Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills Cop. Axel. This is like 4 or something like that. It's coming out Wednesday on Netflix. I'll watch it because it's on Netflix. I wouldn't go to the movies to see it. It's definitely smart of them to put it on Netflix. They don't need to put it in a theater. It's not Oscar movie. It's an action, silly movie with just the same cast, only they're all older. Judge Reinhold's in it. I like him. He's about 75 now, so that should be fun. But Freaky Friday, the sequel, is coming out. How cool is that? How old is she? She's almost 40 now, Lindsay Lohan. And of course, she'll be teamed up with the same mom, Jamie Lee Curtis. Oscar-winning Jamie Lee Curtis. You remember the first one where they flip-flopped each other's bodies, which we haven't seen before in any movie, right? We've never seen that where the father and the son and the mother becomes the father and everybody. We never saw that. Actually, 2 of the people I spoke about were in movies like that. Kirk Cameron and Dudley Moore were in a movie like that where they became father and son, and the son became father. And who else? And Jason Bateman was in a movie like that with Ryan Reynolds, where the 2 of them switched each other's bodies. It's an endless array of these movies where I wish I was a mom, I wish I was young, and then it happens because a storm happens and they get hit with whatever. It's another one. That was a cute movie. I like Lindsay Lohan. I know a lot of people with her legal issues and stuff, but I think she's great. And of course, she's from Long Island, so what's better than that? What's better than that? So that'll be coming out soon. Speaking of Long Island, they ran a little thing about some shows that were based in Long Island or from Long Island. Kevin James had Kevin Can Wait, where the show was set in Massapequa. It was actually filmed up at the Gulf Coast, up in Bethpage, but the setting was Massapequa. And it was quickly canceled after a season and a half. They didn't even get through 2 seasons. It was god-awful. Even Leah Remini, who they tried to drag in to save this mess, couldn't save it. What a terrible... For Kevin James, and this is the problem, and I've blasted Kevin James before. And he's I've seen him do stand-up. He's not a stand-up guy. I mean, he's a stand-up guy. He's just not a stand-up comedian guy. It's just not his shtick. Although that's how he became Kevin James, right? He did stand-up. So it's just, I guess it's not for me, or I don't find him funny, and others have collaborated with me on this, or agreed. But for having such an amazing, an unbelievable, iconic TV show as The King of Queens, which, is on the level of Seinfeld and all the other iconic TV shows, that was a great show. It just shows you just can't put somebody again in a living room with 4 other actors and just make it happen. But he's good in movies. I mean, in those silly movies. Like, he's always with Adam Sandler, they're buddies, so they're always in the same movie. Grown Ups were terrible. But it's what it is. It's shtick, it's silly. Zookeeper, Paul Blart. He's made a good living for himself, I'll just tell you that. But they're not Oscar-winning performances by any means. They're silly movies. Growing Pains was actually set. They were on Long Island. That was the also. She was a reporter for the Long Island Herald or something like that, and he was a psychiatrist. So that was set in Long Island, also Massapequa. Everybody Loves Raymond is Lynbrook. He is a writer, right, for Newsday. Excuse me. There was a couple of others. Let me see if I can find. Let's see if there was any others. Trying to see if there's any that you would recognize. Obviously, the ones I said. How I Met Your Mother was set actually in East Meadow because two of the writers were from East Meadow, so that was pretty interesting. I mean, there's some others, but no things I don't never heard of these. Bridge and Tunnel, I think I heard of that stupid show. The Affair. Washington Spy. There's some other shows, but those were the big shows that they had. They had over there. Speaking of which, so I always have all these like Newsday things, right? So and Steve always gets on me. Stop using Newsday. Stop getting content for the show from Newsday or interesting segments and articles. So I said, okay, I can take criticism. I said, here's what I'll do. I'm going to try to smarten up the show a little bit, and let me look through the Washington Post and the New York Times. Let me see if I could find some fun, interesting stories. Not only couldn't I find fun, interesting stories, I couldn't open the paper. It was very confusing on how to open the actual paper. It took me 10 minutes and I got frustrated. I couldn't, you fold it and then you do it the long way and you turn the page, but it just comes out in your hand because none of it's connected. They just put pages together and call them like the this section and the this section, and now I got papers all over the place, and I can't, and it's very long, it's very deceiving because it's folded. So once you unravel it like a gift, it's now you have page one is about, it could cover my wall at the house. It's wallpaper for the most part, and I can't read it because they have on this one piece of paper there's about 39 different stories, and the print is this big, and I can't make heads or tails out of any of it. It's all like, it's way above my pay grade or my intellectual level. Let's be honest here. I'm going to be honest and give you a little peek behind the curtains. This is where my intellect level is. That's way past me. I can't make funny out of New York Times or the Wall Street Journal. It's filled with the whimsical cartoon, your little cartoon, political cartoon humor. I could just so much see a president with a big nose saying something about oil prices. It's not funny to me. They talk about inflation. They talk about Supreme Court rulings. I can't make humor out of any of that. I don't find it. I just had to put the paper back together, which was hard enough. That would have been the funniest part if I tried to do it in front of you guys. Maybe I'll do that on the next show. I'll do it and see who can do it faster, me or Steve. Open up and actually read an article from the New York Times or Wall Street Journal, because I guarantee it's not going to be me. I had a real Dickens of a time. But one article I did find. See, that's why you love Newsday, and we love Newsday because you're my kind of people. The Steve Squares, they're not uppity, nosy, put their nose up in the air, North Shore people. We're not North Shore. Look, I like all of Long Island. I'm for all, but we're not North Shore people, let's be honest. We're South Shore people, right? We like our Newsday, we like our silly stories. Oh, man mugged at a 7-Eleven. That's more our speed, right? We like he made off with a clock bar and 2 cans of Dr. Pepper. That's a better story. I can work with that. I can't work with a Supreme Court ruling. I don't understand it. Dr. Pepper, a clock bar, a 7-Eleven, and a chase, that I can work with. Somebody blows their foot off lighting a firecracker with an M80 over at Eisenhower Park. I can work with that stuff. That's funny. I don't know political humor. I'm not political, nor am I a sardonist, as they say. It's not my bag. But I did find, did I find something funny? Nor do I know what Brexit is. A big paper that no Brexit. That's that stuff over there in Europe. I don't know what that is either. I don't know what Brexit is. I don't know if that's a new form of Legos. I just don't know what it is. So I have no interest in any of that. But there was something that was interesting that I did manage to get one story. I said, I'm going to get one story whether it kills me. And they was this new hashtag that's going around on all of the social media platforms, hashtag #WorkBestie. It says it's very important for you to find a best friend at work, a very close personal friend at work, because it makes work more bearable, which I think it makes life more bearable, right? It's an odd thing to say. It seems very self-explanatory to say. You should do that in all aspects of life. It makes life more bearable. But I guess at the workplace, to find a workplace buddy. So tomorrow, what I want you to do, if you're not a teacher who's now off for the next 12 months, if you are someone like the rest of us who actually work, I want you to go tomorrow to work and go over to somebody and say, show them on some social media platform, say, look, it says here I need to find, would you like to be my work buddy, my bestie, my work buddy bestie? And see what happens. My guess is you'll be contacted by Human Resource by probably around 3:30 in the afternoon for some kind of infringement on somebody's personal space. But do it anyway, because I'll get a good laugh. And then reach out to me on Stephen R. Kaminsky, my Instagram. Reach out to me. I want to hear your stories. Tell me your story. Because that's interesting. So that was the best I could do for you out of that mess. That was the best I could do. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That was the best I could do. Was that the best I could do? Yeah, that was the best. I couldn't find anything else. I couldn't find... Oh my gosh! The Olympics. In case anybody knows, it's going to be in Paris, the end of this month. I'm sure nobody knows, and nobody will watch it. Nobody's going to watch the Olympics. Nobody knows. I'll tell you what the problem with the Olympics are. And they're all crying, oh, watch the Olympics. It's great. It's these great moments, the Bob Costas, and then the great stories. Nobody lives a normal life. They've all been raised by cubs and bears and caves, and they've overcome, and it's just wonderful. Just, you got to watch it. NBC is pleading with you to watch it. Whoa, that was a fly that just went by me. I probably won't watch much. But here's an interesting thing: what they have is, and I think it's just for the gymnastic team, therapy dogs. So now the gymnastics. I don't know if it's men and women or just the women. I saw the picture where they were with the women team. You get therapy dogs. And now I don't know how much the therapy dogs like. So if they're running towards the pole vault, or the pommel horse, if you will, I don't know if the dog has to jump with you. I don't know if you're holding the dog on the balance beam while you're doing a split, and the poor, lab has to also get scored. I'll tell you, boy, we're getting right to that edge. Right to that edge. Right to the edge. And then you go off. We'll keep pushing it, and pushing, and moving that line. And soon that line, there's no more line. I'm telling you, I work on that deck, there's going to be an end point. Just like what's going on, there's going to be an end point. There's just so much you can do to make life bearable. And squeezing the crap out of a dog in all stressful situations is not going to help. I'm telling you. This girl's going to be doing a cartwheel and the dog is going to attack her. What you should do is forget about therapy dogs. Get some of those real crazy pit bulls and throw them at the Russian team. That's what I would do if I was working here. If we were trying to plan a strategy, because then I would watch. Then I'd be locked into the Olympics. The other problem with why nobody watched the Olympics, you don't know what time anything's going on. It's in Paris. Nobody knows what time it is in Paris. They don't even know what time it is. It's 3:30 maybe. They don't know. Nobody knows. It's whatever time they feel like it is. That's why they do time over there. So how am I supposed to know what time the badminton tournament is? I'm very locked into this year's badminton team. I think we have a great chance of not winning anything. We're never going to win in badminton. They have a lot of good sport. They have archery. The Summer Olympics are always better. They have a lot of that outdoor stuff. Shot puts, track and field. I like to watch the track and field. I do. Swimming, diving, archery, judo. Skateboarding is going to be jumping in this year. What else do they got? Handball. Flag football. Now, I don't know. I think sometimes now you're getting a little bit. Now you're just grabbing things that kids do in their front yard and turning them into Olympic sports. Curling, my favorite. I love when the guys wear the H&M pants because you could wear that. You could wear anything in that sport, right? They're just sweeping the floor and they throw the stone into a circle. We won gold in that once, which was unbelievable. Beach volleyball, track and field, rowing. There's going to be a lot of things. I think it's going to be exciting. They should do everybody loves the axe throwing. They should do a lot of that lumber stuff. I love watching lumber with it. How fast you could saw through a tree or something like that. That's fun. Weightlifting I enjoy that. But they got to show the weightlifting. They so much show. Obviously, they're going to show the gymnastics, the swimming, right? Those are the great. So nobody shows the weightlifting because all these guys are jacked up on 400 milligrams of steroids anyway. It's not a good feel story. I mean, it's just not a good feel when the female doing the clean and jerk for the German team has got a beard down to her. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get hacked. I'm sorry, but I'm just saying those are not good feel stories. You need a good feel story. That's gonna happen in track and field, swimming, and gymnastics. Maybe they show a second of something else. Maybe a little handball they got. I don't know. Let me finish up here. We'll wrap it up. I got 2 columns to read. This is the final one because she finished on June 30th, or the last weekday of Dear Amy. This was Amy's last one. She put in one of her most iconic writings. It says, Dear Amy, yesterday my girlfriend Lori and I went to lunch at a local restaurant. Okay, so him and his girlfriend, Lori, went to lunch at a local restaurant. 2 guys were heading for the same restaurant and were slightly ahead of us. Don't you hate that? They're going. I hate that. You want to walk quickly. That happens to me all the time, but I don't want to look like I'm sprinting. But when they got to the door, they held it open for us and allowed us to enter the restaurant first. Very nice. We smiled, I thanked them, and as soon as I entered, I stood back to allow them, the right owners of who was to get in first, to get online before us. I could tell they were on their lunch break from work, whereas we had plenty of time for lunch. I'm not sure how he could tell that. Lori, my girlfriend, got irritated with me and said I shouldn't have let them cut in line ahead of us. I told her I didn't think they should be penalized for holding the door for us, which is a 5-yard penalty, by the way. Lori keeps laughing at what a chump I was. You're a chump. What do you think? When someone holds the door open for another person, does the door holder automatically give up their rightful spot in line because they were very gracious at the door? So should you in turn be gracious online and give them back? It's very sticky. I don't know if I would. I say if you're dumb enough to be kind and gracious, you get what you deserve. So this way you won't do it again. You'll learn a lesson. That's how you learn a lesson. You have to teach these nice people a lesson. I hate when people hold the door for me, especially when I'm like 20 feet away and they're standing there and I go, no, just go. Because now I got to sprint to the door because they're standing there like a doorman or doorwoman, as the case may be. Dear Confused. Basically, Amy blasts the girlfriend, which is rightly so. First of all, here's the first problem. You're dating a girl that uses the word chump. Let her go. That's A, number one. Sorry, you gotta go. She gotta go. Oh, boy. And, yeah, she basically says, she says that he's a nice person, the girlfriend's a jerk, you performed an act of kindness, basically, blah, blah, blah. Amy wants to finish up strong. And she writes to her readers, R. Eric Thomas is starting a new advice column called Asking Eric. So he will be taking over for her. So you can send your dilemmas his way. Email him at eric@askingeric.com. Very confusing. Eric at askingeric.com. So you can, if now you're stressed, You don't have anybody to whine and complain to. You can't contact Amy. She doesn't want to hear from you. Don't find out where she is. I'm already trying to do that because I want to get her on the show. You got to call this guy. And here's his first column. July 1st, I got a first one from him. And basically, it's Dear Eric. My youngest son had a horrible breakup last year. I still hate her. Oh my God. Hate is powerful. Said son is adorable, nice, as a girl, whatever. Let's be clear. I need grandchildren from this boy. He's the best one of the bunch. How do I encourage him to get out there without actually saying these words? Or do I just adopt more cats? So the mother is wanting her son to get back out there in the game. This guy's been devastated. He had a horrible breakup. And it says, Dear Mom, this is Eric's first advice of the century, of his column. It says, I'm here to remind you the mess you says, what does it say? There's a rule of thumb that it takes half the length of a relationship to get over the end of said relationship. So I guess if you're dating someone a year, it takes 6 months? I already don't like this guy. And I don't like his face. He's got this, But don't go running to your calendar to circle a due date because everybody's different. Thanks for citing the obvious, Eric. This process will take his own time, blah, blah, blah. You clearly have a lot of compassion for your son, which is wonderful. But be careful not to slide into codependent tendencies. The breakup may hurt you, but it's still his breakup. Oh, this mom seems very locked into her son's dating world. Watch out for it. Here's what I would do. I'd fix this whole thing right up. And here's how I end the show and tie it in a bow. I put her baby, her youngest, her pride of joy, her treasure. It doesn't say his name. But I say her youngest son. You match him up with this other lunatic that I just talked about in the Dear Amy, Lori. That chick that doesn't like you to hold doors open for people and calls you a chump. That's who you put those two people together. And see, I should be writing this. I say, hey, I got just the girl for him. I got a psycho Lori who doesn't like to hold the door open for anybody. She hates everybody. You match Lori with this bozo, and the two of them are good. And then now everybody's happy, and the mother might even get some grandchildren. That's how you wrap up a show. Boom, boom. At 7:32, I'm only 2 minutes behind. Anyway, thank you once again for spending some time, some quality time with me. I really enjoyed it, and so did, which we're going to use soon. The corn. What is this guy? The corn dude. Another. Is my co-host. The corn dude is my co-host when I'm doing the show solo, so I don't like to feel alone. I don't have a therapy dog. I have a therapy corn dude. So this is something that helps me lessen my anxiety, lessens my anger, lessens my distress, all of the bad emotions. I don't have any of the good ones. I have all the negative ones. So the corn dude is something that can help me out. Get yourself a corn dude. He is very corny. Haha. And by the way, this show, we want to thank our new proud non-sponsor, Black Flag. If you have somebody in your life, like Lori, who you want to get rid of, who's a pest, so to speak, give her a good spray. She'll at least be away for 2 to 3 weeks, I guarantee you. Anyway, for myself, for the corn dude, for Kermit, and thank you for Governor's Comedy Club for sponsoring the Steve Squared Show. We'll be back in the studio, and we'll find out a lot of things. We're going to know who won the hot dog eating contest without Joey Chestnut. We're going to find out, we'll definitely know a lot about the medical reports on half of Long Island when they get through July 4th and all the screaming fireworks. So please, on a serious note, stay safe. Watch where you're driving. Watch where you're walking, biking. This is a difficult time because I'm a biker, a runner. You got to watch when you're driving. As twilight comes, a lot of people, when the weather gets cooler, that's when they like to take their bikes out. But unfortunately, they don't understand to not go for a nice leisurely bike ride in the middle lane on Sunrise Highway. Look for a path. I always stress this because you don't want to end up as somebody's hood ornament. That said, have a wonderfully safe, quiet July 4th. Hopefully it won't be too much. Go to a regular fireworks show if you really need to see explosives. You don't need to have your neighbor do it for you. Go to the Grucci one, go to Jones Beach, or go to Eisenhower Park, go to something like that. Anyway, have yourself a wonderful evening. I will see you all next Monday in the studio. Probably with Steve, probably with Tony, 6:30 p.m. on the Steve Squad Show. Don't forget to check out the Instagram, Stephen R. Kaminsky, for all of the things you might have missed and all the tips and tricks. And of course, we'll put some more dumbbells in there for you. We always like to put some dumbbells, updates, and news. And otherwise,